This is where we saved it at the end of episode 1 prior to our train ride from Chaplin Drill Hole into Kansas City. So we're going to jump straight into the action today and carry on progressing through this scenario. Before we unpause it, let's just refresh our memories as to the task list. So we've got the first 3 completed with a gold check mark for all 3 of those. So the next ones we're going to be focused on are the oil production, increasing our track length and trying to bump up our quarterly freight revenue to 2.5 million. We should be good from here on out, and in fact what I did do after I finished the recording session for episode 1, I did carry on this scenario and I was able to achieve the president rating and get the gold check mark for the remaining tasks that we have set out for us. That's no real surprise, it is classed as a medium difficulty scenario, so getting that golden check mark shouldn't be too difficult from here on out. So yes, at the minute it's just pretty much focusing on the production of the oil. We made a start, we have Chaplin Drill Hole, it's upgraded to level 3. I do believe the next drill hole opens up somewhere around here, and it also provides a building in Houston to accept the oil, the standard oil warehouse. So as soon as this oil is tapped, we will run a line into Houston. We'll buy the oil well, of course, and we'll get that upgrading. And it's a nice short run, this one. So we should be able to get that oil shipped through very, very quickly and start making a decent bit of money on it. Another thing we want to look into doing is in Kansas City, we want to grow this city to 115,000 residents. The reason for that is that unlocks the requirement for petroleum. If you remember, one of the tasks that we do have is to produce 50 units of petroleum. So my plan, it is to go ahead, put a petroleum refinery in Kansas City. We're then going to put an out-of-town warehouse that accepts petroleum, so we have an artificial demand for it. And that way we'll be able to tick off that, produce 50 loads ourselves fairly quickly and fairly easily. Of course, that's all for the future, so we'll deal with that as and when the time comes. For our research, I'm not really too fussed about the locomotives, but getting some of these up here to reduce... What's this one here? Don't care about that. Yeah, increasing transportation fees is always nice. So that's what we're going to be focusing on, less about the locos and more about the little bonuses that we can unlock. So let's start by getting this one. In fact, shall we get that one? No, we'll save up for the reliability, I think. One thing we are going to do at this point is actually connect these 2 industries into Kansas City. It's a nice close short run, that's the word I'm looking for. And the reason is I just want to make sure we don't drop below the minimum supply for the sugar and the corn. That's going to just encourage Kansas City to grow as much as we possibly can. We're not going to need too many trains, it's a short distance. I think 2 trains is going to be more than enough to handle what we need down here. So let's get this line set up. It's a freight-only line.
Oil field has appeared near Dallas.
There's that new oil well, which we'll turn our attention to in a few moments. And let's just get 2 trains running this little route here, just to keep Kansas City nice and supplied. So the new oil well has appeared. It wasn't this one here, I was mistaken. It's this one up here by Dallas. So what we're going to do is we're going to buy this oil well. We'll let the price come down a little first. It should drop to about 300,000. That'll save us a couple $100,000 on the purchase cost. So that's something worthwhile waiting for. In the meantime, we can get a small station put down here so we can get the infrastructure in place ready. So as soon as we purchase the oil well, we're ready to go. And what we're going to do is we're going to run it up here, and it's going to run alongside this track, and just before we get to Salina, where we've run out of space, we'll merge the 2 lines together, and then from here into Kansas City they'll just share this stretch of track. Thankfully, of course, we do have a station with signalling control handling the incoming oil, so we can utilize all 4 platforms together without having to do any sort of shenanigans. So as we can see then, we've just ticked off this task, transporting 50 loads of oil into towns. And of course that's also made a bit of a headway into this task as well. We're 5% of the way there. So that's all looking very nice indeed. Let's just check the price of this oil well at the moment. There we go, 293, that will do. In my experience, you don't really get into bidding wars on these industries. At least I didn't when I continued my playthrough after I'd finished recording episode 1, and it looks like that's going to be the same case here today. So we've managed to acquire that at the base rate without having to have any sort of bidding war with our competitors. So as I said, the next thing to do is just run a line that runs with the one from Chaplin Drill Hole. And while I'm not going to snap it parallel, because I find in Railway Empire, when you have parallel tracks, it's very difficult to get them to merge in nicely, unlike Transport Fever 2, for instance. So instead we're going to run it just alongside, like this. And doing that has had the added benefit of ticking off that task to have a track length of over 4,000 miles. So that's yet another task completed and handled successfully. So let's get ourselves some signals down here. We'll want a supply tower, or perhaps a couple of supply towers for this one, because we are coming a fair old distance, and of course we have a shared supply tower here as well. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is obviously set up this line from Davis countryside into Kansas City. We want to run a full load at all times, of course. And we can afford one locomotive at the moment, but it shouldn't take too long before we can get 3 or 4 running down here. And then we want to think about upgrading the capacity of this oil well so we have higher throughput and production. Not only will that make us more money, of course, it will work towards one of the other goals, which is to produce 20 units of oil per week. And I think there is another one to produce 5 loads of oil per week as well. So it will help achieve both of those tasks. Yes, 5 loads per week and 20 loads per week. We're up to 4 at the moment. So when we upgrade this, we should tip over the 5 threshold. We can now unlock this to increase the reliability of our locomotives, which is always very nice indeed. So at the moment then, it is just a lot of waiting around as far as our progress goes, while we accumulate funds to buy out the oil wells as and when they appear, and of course upgrade them to higher levels for the higher throughput and production rates, like so for instance. There's not much else we really need to do to our network. We're in a good position right now, and there's nothing we desperately need to focus on. I would like to purchase this weaving factory if at all possible, but I do think putting a bid in for this will cause a bidding war, but let's see what happens here. Yes, I don't want to spend too much on this, but it would be nice to buy it out. 385. I'll go for one more bid. If I get outbid again, I will just allow them to take it. Okay, Trisha, you may have that. I'm not overbidding 425. That's far too much for an industry that is doing absolutely nothing. The reason I wanted to buy it is to demolish it and put the petroleum refinery in there, of course. However, what we'll do instead is we'll just buy out Trisha Jones's company at some point, and that will allow us to inherit the weaving factory, and that's where we'll demolish it.
Has been tapped, and 2 coastal cities are expecting further oil supplies.
So here's the new oil well I was talking about, the one up by Houston, and as we can see in Houston we now have the Standard Oil warehouse as well. So we want to buy this one. However, the price for this one is a little high. We'll just wait a couple of months and see if that drops down. In the meantime, what we'll do is just upgrade this oil well once again to 3.2 cartloads per week. As we can see, we've got a good level at the moment. We're not causing our trains to wait around too much. And we have gone full JP Morgan, and we are now producing our own oil, 5 out of 5 per week, another golden tick. Nearly $1 million in quarterly revenue. That one should come in time. Obviously now making progress towards this one, and over 10% of the way towards transporting 1,000 wagons of oil into the towns. This one will just have to wait a little bit longer. Trisha Jones kind of put a spanner in the works when she outbid us for the weaving factory, but I'm not too fussed because it's not going to make her any money, because we're not supplying it with any cotton, and she can't supply it with any cotton because we have this city locked up tight with 2 stations already. I mean, she could if she wanted to. What I would do is put a warehouse here to bring in the cotton, what's linked to Kansas City, but I've never seen the AI do that. So yeah, she can spend best part of $500,000 on an industry that's going to do absolutely nothing, and like I said, we'll just inherit that from her when we buy out her company a little bit later on. Let's check this oil well price now. Okay, it doesn't seem to be coming down, so we'll just have to pull the trigger and start a bid here. Again, hopefully we won't have a bidding war for this. I don't think we will. Perfect. So now we can start running oil down into Houston. So we'll put a station at the drill hole, and of course we'll put one in Houston as well. We'll link them together like so. There we go, 4% gradient's not too bad, only 87,000, it's a nice short run. We'll parallel track it, put our signals and supply towers in, and then we'll get a lot of trains running on this short route here. Even though it's only a short route, I am going to put several trains on this one. That way we've got just cause to upgrade the level of this oil well. So let's make a start with our locos. And we'll get 2 straight off the bat, but that's all we can afford for the time being. Let's just sort this out. There we go. You'd think that the game would take steps when you do auto assignment to not put the staff on a train where it's going to cause a conflict, but there you go. I suppose I'm asking for too much, and that's perhaps unreasonable of me. The next thing we're going to do here is upgrade this oil well to level 2, and we'll probably get this one all the way up to level 5. That way we can handle around about 6 to 8 trains running down here, and that's going to help get that oil shipped in nice and quickly, and it's also going to boost our quarterly freight income as well, so a win-win. What I'm going to do here is upgrade this station in Wichita while we're waiting for more oil wells to be tapped, and I'm going to start running in some cotton into Wichita. We do have the weaving industry here, so we can supply the cotton, and that will also help us get some textiles which can be shipped into Kansas City. That will help stimulate some growth in Kansas City, or help get towards achieving some growth in Kansas City, because they will have a demand for textiles. And as I said, we want Kansas City to hit 115,000 in order to allow us to put down a petroleum refinery in Kansas City. So let's get these up and running. Probably don't need too many trains, maybe 3 at the very most. It's only a short distance. We do of course want to make sure we have maintenance buildings on these stations that we've just constructed, and that includes the ones down by Dallas and Houston. We have yet another oil field just appeared, and I believe this one is up here somewhere. Maybe I'm mistaken. Let's see if... oh, there it is, look. So once again, we shall buy out this oil well. We'll let the price come down if it does. and when it drops a little lower than 500,000 we'll put in a bid and purchase this oil well, and this will run in all the way along the top and into one of these empty nodes at Kansas City. Let's see, is the price dropping at all? 326. Give it another couple of weeks and maybe it'll drop even lower than that to something in the 200,000s. Ah, what the heck, we've got enough money, we'll just go for that. Again, I don't envisage a bidding war taking place, so I'm going to put down a large train station here. That way we don't have to worry about getting the tracks down off of this cliff face right here. Let's put our signals in. Usual shenanigans here with the short signals, and we need to make sure we put signals past the supply tower as well, like that. And we'll probably want a couple more supply towers on this route, maybe. That's quite useful, that's what we want. This will probably trigger a bidding war, yes, but that's fine, we've got the capital to back ourselves in this one. In fact, no, I didn't want that, that's mail increase, damn it. Probably wasted money on that, but never mind. It's not going to make or break our company spending that bit of money there. I'd rather not have done, but that's my own mistake there, so take ownership of that one. Anyway, freight only line from Elliott area into Kansas City then, with a full load of oil. So just upgrading our new oil well to level 2 at the moment to double our production to 1.6 barrels per week. How is that affecting this? I don't think it's reflected in this just yet, but yeah, we should have a decent production rate at the moment. What level do we have this one to down here? Level 2. I'd like to upgrade this one because, as we can see, it's at full utilization and our trains are having to wait for the oil to be produced. So we'll wait for the $1 million and we'll upgrade this one next. And as we start to upgrade this one towards level 4 and 5, then we can afford to put several more trains running on this route here. I think we've only got 2 at the moment, and even with 2 trains, a level 2 industry is not enough to meet demand. So there we go, that's now level 3. So what's that producing per week? 3.2, very nice. I think we'll go ahead and put, in fact there was no point putting trains on this line at the moment because we're not quite hitting that demand and our trains are having to wait around. So all we'd be paying for is trains to wait down here while the one at the station is being loaded. How are we in terms of our bonds? And in fact, how are we in terms of being able to merge? So we need 10 million to buy out Trisha Jones outright. Obviously you do pay a premium for using that function. So I think what we'll do is we'll play the bond market here. That's going to free up around about 3.5 million. And there we can now get that to level 5 max level. That's 8 carloads per week, and that will allow us to have several trains or several more trains running this line here, and we should be able to meet that production demand.
New oil field has been tapped.
Another oil well over here. I don't think we're going to need that one, but I might purchase it anyway. What I would like to do is to further upgrade this one to level 3, and that will allow us to have a couple more trains running on this line. So we'll do that. So that's level 3, level 3. I think this one is level 3 as well. So these two could support more trains because we're not meeting full utilization. So I think that's what we'll do. We'll couple more trains on both of these lines here. Reduced locomotive price is nice. That'll take it to about 90,000 for a PRR. That's going to make it cheaper when we want to spam out more and more trains. How are we doing down here? I guess we're not even close to meeting utilisation. No, so I think we'll put a couple more on this line as well. Would be nice to get Kansas City growing a little bit further. But while they have this demand for cotton, which we are not going to fulfill, yeah, it's a bit difficult. How are we doing down here? Well, let's put a museum in Wichita, because why not? And perhaps we could even think about getting Wichita growing as well. See if we can get this one to 115. So let's boost this station size here, the second station we have. And I think what we're going to do is bring in some... no, that's the wrong station. We don't need that. Can we get a large station in this area that'll cover both those industries? Yes, we can. So we'll run a line from here into one of the new platforms at Wichita. Like that. We'll double track it. This way we can supply logs and milk into Wichita, which should stimulate some nice growth. How are we doing on production now? So look, now we want to be thinking about upgrading these industries or these oil wells here, because we are maxing out the workload. So that's 1.5 million to do that. How are we doing down here? Looks like we could have maybe another couple trains on this line actually. I don't think we need any more than 8 because it is a short distance. And we're going to start seeing traffic build up down here just on the just because of the amount of time it takes a train to actually get a full load of oil. So it's not the production now, it's the loading time that we're having to contend with. How are we doing on our tasks? Very good on this one, not too far off this one either, and making inroads to this one. Okay, so that's 1.5 million. So let's go ahead and upgrade that to level 4. How are we doing at that one? I think we're okay. We do have a good distance between the incoming trains. And how are we doing on this one? Absolutely fine, so I don't need to upgrade those at the moment. If we can get Wichita to 90,000, that would be nice. Because then we can put down a tailor's in Wichita, which will start producing dresses, which they can ship into Kansas City. That'll help Kansas City grow or get it closer to meeting the fulfillment of demand. Loco supplied due to missing supplies. Loco slowed due to missing supplies. So let's put a supply tower there and avoid the next train having the same issue there. Okay, that's 20 loads of oil now being produced per week, so that's that task ticked off nicely. 8% of the way to this one here, which is very nice indeed. We really want to start thinking about this one, and as I said, in order to do that, we're either going to need an auctioneer to purchase the weaving factory of Trisha Jones, or outright buy up her company. Now I'm thinking we'll buy her company and maintain her infrastructure and locomotives, because that'll have the added benefit of ticking our freight income per month up a little higher, and may even be enough to get us over this threshold here. So then, yeah, what we're going to do is save money and buy out her company, I think, at this point. Let's get that for the reduced consumption rates on our locos. So to outright merge, it's 12 million, but that does have a markup on there, so how much would it cost to do it this way? 10 million. We have 3. So let's just start buying out chunks of Trisha Jones's company, shall we? As I said, that inherits us this weaving factory, which we can demolish and replace with a petroleum refinery. Ah, very good, that's lovely. And it also helps us increase our quarterly freight income as well. Personnel, I'm less interested in them now, to be perfectly honest, so I do believe... Ooh, no. Yeah, I believe we'll just leave it as is for now. Just chucked a couple more trains on this line here because we're not running this supply dry at the moment, so that to me says we can accommodate an extra couple locomotives on this line. What are you waiting for? Why are you not being loaded? I assume it's because there's no demand up here at the moment. Oh, we are meeting the demand for oil. Well, yeah, look at that. But that's fine. When we get the refinery here, we will start seeing more demand for oil.
Good. Above all, it's the enormous amount of oil.
So that's 1,000 loads of oil now transported as well. So it is just the quarterly freight revenue and the petroleum that we want to worry about at this point. Just reissued my company bonds there because we can get higher value ones, and that money that's freed up we're going to use it to plough into Trisha Jones. So let's buy up another 45%, that takes us to 85%. So to buy out the rest now it will cost us 1.8 million, which we should acquire pretty quickly. At that point then we can demolish that and put down that refinery. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the infrastructure in place for the artificial demand for the petroleum by putting a warehouse here that demands petroleum with a maximum amount, so 99. We only need to produce 50, so that's more than enough what we need. And we'll just run a line like that. We will double track it. I'll probably run 2 trains on this line. Let's put a supply tower in the middle. What the heck, we'll get the line running while we're waiting. So a freight only line and 2 PRRs. Yeah, they're going to run empty for a little while, but that's okay. And as soon as we get to about 1.5, 1.8 million, we'll acquire Trisha Jones's company and then see about getting rid of this. So let's merge together, keep everything as I said. I usually would liquidate everything for the cash boost, but I'm going to keep everything so we acquire her static freight income. And now what we can do, we already own this car thanks to Trisha, so let's demolish that for 240,000. And let's put ourselves a refinery in Kansas City. That'll start the petroleum production, which once we've fulfilled Kansas City's own internal demand for petroleum, we'll ship the excess over to this warehouse, and that will keep this industry producing nicely. And let's get this upgraded as quickly as we can for the extra output. As we can see, Kansas City has a weekly demand of 1.5, so we need to be in excess of that, which we are just a bit, but it's going to take a long while to build up a surplus. So that's why we want to keep upgrading this industry as quickly as we can. Research is largely irrelevant at this point. We only have the 2 remaining tasks to do, and we want to make sure we get this one before we tick over to this one. Otherwise we won't be able to get this one, because as soon as this one is done, it's game over. Yes, you can continue playing, but I think it's more successful if you get the optional objectives before completing the overall scenario, rather than playing on after the fact. So in the next couple of days to weeks, we should start seeing some export petroleum being produced in Kansas City, which we'll then obviously take over to the warehouse that we have here. There we go, we can see petroleum is now starting to build up in the export stockpile. We should be pretty close to this one now. We are producing at a decent lick in Kansas City. So the last thing to do is increase our freight revenue by an additional $500,000.
The city's need of petroleum keeps
and there we go, that's that one ticked off. All I'm doing now is just finding ways to increase our freight revenue. And that's primarily done by just adding more trains onto our oil lines, where the oil well can accommodate the increased demand. That'll be quite useful. So I'll get into a bidding war for this one. I think we've got the capital to back it up. There we go, so that's going to boost our freight revenue, which is going to help us get close to this goal, just at 200,000 away at the moment, which is very nice. We could look to buy out Beatrix's company, but I don't think we're going to have the time. I think by the time we're in a position where we can merge our companies together, we will have already hit that final goal anyway. But just for something to do, I suppose we can start working away at it in the background. How much would it cost outright? 13.5 million. So I think we'll just leave it running in the background, accumulate a nice big amount of money, and then just see about chipping into her company. In the meantime, we may well tip over this threshold ourselves naturally, which will be absolutely fine. And we'll just have to see what happens. I suppose one other little thing we could do is to start getting some coal brought in. We do have the chemical factory in Kansas City, so there is a demand for coal. So let's just do that, and we'll have one train running this line, so we'll put a supply tower at the midway point for it. And let's just set up a quick freight line from here to here. That hauls in some coal, that'll get us a little extra money. And yeah, just one train should be more than enough to accommodate this.
Your freight revenue is increasing.
There we go. We didn't have to buy out Beatrix in the end. And I do believe we should see that we've got a gold on everything here. Well, we definitely got the president rating anyway. Let's just continue playing. Head at the task screen. And yeah, gold check marks throughout. There are ways to get your freight revenue high a bit faster than I did. I just waited around for it to occur naturally. You can put down extra lines, of course, just to boost that income as much as possible, just to get it done that little bit faster. And of course, you can also make an aggressive play for your competitors, maintain their infrastructure and their locos, and then obviously you can just piggyback off of all their hard work to boost your freight revenue as well. So there we go, yet another successful scenario completed. Do let me know in the comments what you'd like to see us tackle next, and with which character, and I'll hopefully be able to do replicate the success we're seeing so far with a different character on a different scenario. But yeah, just let me know. If not, I'll obviously just pick one myself that I fancy doing, and I'll decide which character to use. I don't want to make it artificially more difficult than it has to be by picking someone rubbish, say the General for instance. But yeah, I'll try not to make it too easy by just, you know, spamming Doc Murphy, that's his name. because he really is easy mode. Right, do we want a cab ride outro? Maybe, shall we? Well, why don't we hop on this train when it leaves from Davis Countryside up to Kansas City. We're just about to leave now, so let's hop on board. And we'll stay on... Okay, what's it look like on the front? It's a bit low down. Yeah, we'll go on the front, why not? So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much as always. I hope you have enjoyed this, and I don't think this is the difficult scenario, but if it is one that you have been struggling with, hopefully this has helped in some small way. And if you're just watching just for the viewing pleasure, then I hope you've enjoyed it as well, of course. But for now, all that remains for me to say is, as always, take very good care of yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. It's ta-ta for now.